Okay.
My claim is increasing minimum wage will lead to a decrease of employment. Supporting claims are increasing minimum wage will cause employees to cut jobs and hire less. Unemployment of low-skilled workers, especially teens and minorities, will drastically increase. And economic consequences of increasing minimum wage will have an effect on the number of jobs and amount of spending. So anybody here have a job where you get paid about $8 an hour? Well, so background information. So since 2008, it's been $8 an hour. Assembly Bill 10 that just passed will increase minimum wage starting July 1st, 2014 to $9 an hour, January 1st, 2016 to $10 an hour. So first, increasing minimum wage will cause employees to cut jobs and hire less. Increasing minimum wage will lead employers to not only cut number of employees but cut hours, leading to increasing prices. Assemblyman Louis Salinas said, increasing the minimum wage is a job killer and is not smart for the future of California. Also, Executive Director of the National Federation of Independent Businesses in California, John Kabatek, said, small business owners' hopes have once again been dashed with the stroke of the governor's pen. This increase is both points being stated by article in the LA Times. And so this increase is going to deter potential new business owners from starting their jobs. And it can lead to local, state, and economic problems, which also leads to profit loss due to the lower volumes of work, not enough money coming in, and which just leads to increase of businesses shutting down. Next, increased minimum wage will cause unemployment of low-skilled workers, especially teens and minorities. So U.S. Bureau of Statistics stated that unemployment of the low-skilled workers in 2008 was approximately 8%, and it's estimated in 2016 that it will be approximately 13%. In an article by Douglas Addy, a labor economist, he stated that for every 10% increase of minimum wage, unemployment of low-skilled workers will jump by approximately 3.5%, which is it's a pretty tremendous number. And employers would be less likely to hire these types of people due to the lack of certain skills, and this effect would be greater in the long run, which businesses would have to try to change production methods to compete with higher priced labor markets. Next, economic consequences of increasing minimum wage will have an effect on the number of jobs and the amount of spending. So a lot of demand states that when the price of anything increases, the quantity demanded decreases. So in the case of labor, as the wage rate increases, the number of jobs decreases, being greater in the long run. Also, useful tax dollars that are being spent on aiding these increasing the amount of unemployed is essentially being wasted, which can go towards other useful things, creating more government and local problems. In conclusion, increasing minimum wage will cause a ripple effect leading to job cuts, increase of low-skilled workers, and grave economic consequences.
Shannon, what was the time?
He just 4 minutes. He had 2 minutes left.
4 minutes, okay. All right, well, you did a nice job telling us what the proposition was and pretty good job laying out what the secondary points are going to be. In the body of the speech, though, as you cite those points, you often just jump into them. And on the first one, for instance, there are a whole series of claims that get made, and I'm not sure which one of them is the point that you are ultimately trying to make. You do provide some testimony evidence on that first point. It's very general in nature, but it does seem to support the conclusion that you're talking about on that particular point. The transition to the second and the third points mostly consists of next, and that's not a very smooth transition phrase. A little internal summary of what we've learned on the preceding point, and then even a numerical signpost along with the claim, I think, would be a lot clearer. So that could sharpen up the internal structure of the speech. On the evidence, you had examples, but they're mostly hypothetical. Some of them were provided by the sources that you're presenting, but most of them were generated on your own. There was some good statistical information. In fact, on that one point about unemployment of teenagers and low-skilled workers, it seemed like you would be able to figure out what the percentage increase was from $8 to $9 and $9 to $10, or $8 to $10 over the next 2 years, and be able to give us an estimate of or how many people will be unemployed as a consequence based on that statistic. I was surprised that you didn't follow up with that, but you had the basic numbers there. Do the math for people so that they understand what the claim ultimately is going to be. You did a pretty good job citing your sources. Like I said, I think on the first couple of points, the evidence was very generic. In fact, on a couple of those points, there's a lot of claims being presented that are taken as givens and presuppositions. Like on your third point, you basically take this what you call an economic principle about the availability or the cost of something and its inverse relationship with the availability of that sort of thing, and you take that as a given that that's going to apply to jobs. But it would be nice to know that some economist says that it's not just for goods and services, but also jobs that this applies to, and if there was an example that backed it up, that would make it a little bit stronger. You have very limited audience contact. You need to do a better job on that. A good summary at the end of the speech, though. Thank you.